she launched what many people are calling Dani books. For those that I just hit the wrong button. Okay. Well, all right, so in, oh gosh, when was it? January of 2006, Ralph Klein announced something called Ralph Bucks. Which was a one-time payment of $400 to commemorate a 2005 provincial budget surplus. So in other words, the budget had a surplus, and the government's response, rather than investing that into more social programs, just paid it out to people. Yeah. One-time issue of checks. People who filed a 2004 tax return with the Canadian Revenue Agency received the bonus, except for prisoners who did not qualify. It was, yeah. Checks for Albertans under 18 were payable only to their primary caregiver, the mother in most cases, thus leaving parents to determine how their children's share was to be distributed or used. Homeless Albertans qualified. The government pledged to work with inner-city agencies to ensure that the homeless received their money. Other questions were unanswered. For example, it was unknown how spouses fleeing abusive relationships would receive their bonus if they were housed in a shelter. Some residents criticized what they saw as a pointless giveaway and preferred to see excess money being put toward long-term benefits like tax cuts or the abolition of healthcare premiums. Ralph Bucks made it into the national media after a handful of non-Albertans came forward to admit they received checks to which they were not entitled. I think we'd be done for politics. We did the things you've been told all our fault things over there. I blame us, so I think the problem isn't us. It's probably not. Take care of yourself, Elemental. If you need to take a break from politics and all the news shit, I do not blame you. Yep, they are. So let's take a look at her announcement yesterday. Stonks. Hi, Fierce Tuskers. Also, I love that she's at Heritage Park in Gasoline. It's not called Gasoline Alley. What's it called? Oh, it is Gasoline Alley. In Calgary's Gasoline Alley Museum. Yeah, stinks.
Minister of Affordability, Utilities, and Jeff Dyer, CEO of Trellis Society, to talk about our government's latest actions to make life more affordable for all Albertans. All across our province, families are feeling the pressure of rising costs, whether it's groceries, rent, utilities, or fuel. Many Albertans are asking the same question: how did life get this expensive? The fact is there isn't a single cause. Costs are high thanks to a combination of global, national, and provincial factors that have all come together at once. Here in Alberta, for example, rapid population growth has been putting pressure on things like housing, infrastructure.
There it is. You can't get a Danielle Smith press conference without blaming immigration. My work just canceled your book to prove PTO. Oh my word. That's bullshit, friend. I'm sorry.
And services. When demand rises faster than supply, you see prices climb. Globally, higher prices for oil and gas are increasing costs for fuel and utilities. At the same time, those stronger energy prices mean Alberta is seeing increased revenues that help support the services that Albertans rely on every
So you can't afford gas, but I promise it's a really good thing for Alberta.
Every day, like schools and hospitals and roads. But our government recognizes that families are feeling the pinch, which is why we're taking action to put more money back in their pockets. Beginning July 1st, nearly 3.4 million Albertans will be eligible to...
You know what else 3.4 million Albertans had? Their personal data released into the public eye. What happened with that, Danielle Smith?
Receive $100 through the new Alberta Energy Rebate. The energy rebate will put tax dollars collected over recent months of elevated energy prices back in the hands of Albertans to help with the cost of fuel and other household needs. Rather than relying on retailers to pass on the fuel tax relief, this approach will ensure elevated oil revenues deliver real benefits to Albertans.
Oh my word. I don't know what kind of vehicles y'all drive. But it cost me $100 to fill my car up once. It doesn't normally cost that much. This year is the first time that it's been over 60, 70. And so great. They're going to pay for one tank of gas. Hey, sicko.
Benefits that don't disappear at the pumps. This rebate replaces the fuel tax relief program, which temporarily paused all or part of the 13-cent per liter provincial fuel tax when oil prices reaches a certain threshold. When the federal government suspended its 10 cents a liter fuel excise tax earlier this year, those savings were seemingly erased at the pumps within days and before Albertans could actually feel
because the corporations just raise the prices.
Any relief. In practical terms, the energy rebate gives Albertans real returns now on the higher oil prices already seen in the previous months, delivering families, we estimate, over 50% more than the fuel tax relief program was projected to provide over the next 3 months. So whether the priority is groceries, bills, rent, or fuel, the energy rebate ensures flexible support, with guaranteed support for every eligible Albertan, driver or not. On top of having this,
I will say they are just giving it to everybody, and I get it. Like $100 is still $100. But I would Toyota Ravioli. I loved my RAV4 when I drove it. That was my favorite vehicle. Nope, I had a train of thought. It's gone.
Second lowest taxes on fuel in the country at 13 cents a liter. Alberta's competitive low tax environment has also helped to keep the average fuel price relatively lower than the rest of the country, 156.3 cents per liter compared.
How many of you, I don't know how many of you are in Alberta, but this number I saw at one gas station yesterday for the first time.
Compared to the Canadian average of 171.2 cents per liter. But there is more to do. While some things are beyond our control, we'll continue to find ways to help Albertans cope in the face of rising prices. We're engaging with grocery retailers to find ways to address the rising cost of essential food items.
Yeah, maybe take a page out of Wob Canoe's book and do it that way. So Gasoline Alley is in the Heritage Park Museum. And it's got a whole bunch of like antique cars and signs and stuff. Why is it a thing? Because oil. I wonder. It's a museum and a museum. Yeah. Heritage Park is one of those step into the past, walk around and see what it was like 100 years ago. Yeah, this is it. Hi, I'm your AI assistant for Travel Alberta. How about you F right off? Yeah, that's Gasoline Alley. Yeah, up from 108. Yep.
And we continue to focus on long-term affordability, including lowering personal income taxes so families save up to $1,500 per year, cutting red tape, and working to promote a strong and growing economy that creates more jobs, opportunities, and stability, and put real dollars back into the pockets of Albertans. I'll now turn it over to Minister Jason Nixon to share a few more details about the program and also detail how Albertans can receive the rebate.
Oh yeah, we're not just getting the rebate, by the way. Because that would be
thank you, Premier, and good afternoon,
easy.
Everybody. When oil prices are high, everyone feels it, not just at the pumps, but in the price of groceries, utilities, and everyday goods. Albertans deserve relief and the freedom to use the relief where and when it matters the most for their families. That's why starting July 1st, Alberta's government is putting direct, immediate support into the hands of nearly 3.4 million eligible Albertans through the Alberta Energy Rebate. Every eligible Albertan will receive a guaranteed $100 payment. A two-adult household will receive $200, and families can receive an additional $100 for each eligible adult child and family member living in the same home. We trust Albertans to know what their families need most.
Only AISH recipients don't have to apply, allegedly. Yeah, they really do. And it's funny because it's the same number that they said the personal information was released. Yeah, they want your info. Supposedly, you're supposed to get it if you submitted a tax. Did your taxes for the last year or the year before. But I'm fairly certain most people have to apply for it.
Whether the pressure is on groceries, rent, bills, or fuel, the Alberta Energy Rebate ensures the choice is theirs. While we hope peace deals advance between Iran and the United States, we know how volatile global conflicts and reactive oil markets can be, and the major impact they have already had on the costs to Albertans. We have seen average prices of gas in Alberta over the past month alone from lows of $1.50 to as high as $1.80 just over a month. The Alberta Energy Rebate takes the tax already collected during recent months of elevated fuel prices and returns it directly to the pockets of Albertans. So they can see relief now, rather than waiting for relief to hopefully materialize at the pump. The reality is that the government has very little ability to influence gas prices, and when gas is sitting above $1.60 a liter, whether you're paying 13 cents in fuel tax or not, that's what Albertans notice. We saw that when the federal government suspended their 10 cents fuel tax this year. Those savings were erased at the pump within days before Albertans could actually feel that relief. And with price fluctuating the way they are now, provincial tax relief can disappear just as easily before anything actually benefits. The Alberta Energy Rate delivers relief immediately and avoids that volatility. On average, eligible Albertans will see over 50% more savings per person than the fuel tax relief would have provided, especially if oil prices continue to drop. And unlike fuel tax relief, this rebate reaches every single Albertan, driver or not. This includes seniors, vulnerable Albertans, transit users, and remote workers who would not have seen 1 cent from fuel tax relief, but are still dependent on increase in affordability prices because of the price of oil. Any Alberta resident 18 years or older who has filed the 2025 tax return and has a household income of $225,000 or less is eligible. That's around 70% of Albertans, 85% of adult Albertans, 3.4 million Albertans to be specific. Albertans that are receiving the Alberta Senior Benefit, AISH, ADAP, or income support will automatically be enrolled, no application needed. Starting July 1st, all other eligible Albertans can apply through the secure online portal available at alberta.ca.
Nothing says safe like a secure online portal.
The application window will run until September 30th, and we want every Albertan to take advantage of this. The Alberta Energy Rebate builds on the foundation that already makes Alberta one of the most affordable provinces in our country. The lowest personal income taxes, the second lowest fuel taxes in the country, and no provincial sales tax. We know there is no simple fix for the global economic pressures Albertans are facing. That's why the Alberta Energy Rebate is better, targeted, and a tangible solution for today's challenges. It reaches further, delivers more, and puts guaranteed money in Albertans' pockets.
You know, that's a really great question, Anu.
And our commitment doesn't stop there. Should oil prices remain elevated, we will continue to explore the best options for delivering relief for Alberta families in future quarters. Thank you for being here for our announcement. I'd like to...
Yeah, you're right. There's Finance Minister Jason Nixon, Affordability Minister R.J. Sigurdsson, and then Trellis Society CEO Jeff Dyer.
To call upon my friend, the Minister of Affordability and Utilities, R.J. Sigurdsson, to talk about how this impacts his department.
All right, we're going to skip that because it's just more patting themselves on the back.
And financial pressures of
$2 per family.
to be active, connected, and supported members.
Wait, asking your question. With that, we'll go to our first at the mic.
Hey there, sorry for the positioning here. It's a little odd with you guys behind the bank of cameras. It's Aaron Collins from CBC National News. I think a lot of the speculation was what the number was going to be. And when we heard $100, the reaction on our group chat was, that's not enough to fill up my car.
Get him.
And it's about a half a tank in an F-150. So why do you think this is enough to take some of the pressure off Albertans, and how do you think they're going to view this?
Well, I think the thing to keep in mind is the average Albertan uses 2,000 liters of gas a year. And so they would have paid on average $65 in taxes over the past quarter. So this is going to be a $100 rebate. And so it's $35 more than they
Yeah, I appreciate the F-150 reference.
would have got with the fuel tax program. As you may know, the fuel tax we have legislation in place to give a rebate that's equivalent to what the fuel tax would be, which is about $350 million. And so we wanted to make sure that it would go to be a meaningful amount and go to as many people as possible. And so that's why we've put a limit that those who have a family household income up to $225,000 will be
There it is.
able to receive it.
Hi,
but it's not just fuel that
How are you, friend?
that people are suffering from. I mean, fuel goes into the price of food as well, and people need to have relief on that front. There are others who might take the bus, might be able to be fine on food, but maybe the utility bills is the one that's a little bit more difficult.
If I paid $100 in utility bills, I would be so fucking happy. $100 barely covers a cell phone bill. Barely. Hey, Lucky.
So we believe that people need to have an equivalent amount of money that they otherwise would have got through the rebate. That's why we've put that forward. And we also believe that people need the choice to put it towards their pressing needs. So we have given tax relief in another way. We gave $1,500 per family by having the personal income tax. That's $1,500 additional dollars every single year, and all of the other measures that RJ had put forward. This is just one particular program that, if implemented the way it was, would have saved people $65 going forward. Instead, we're giving them $100 up front.
You mentioned those programs.
So this would have saved you $65 in gas. So we're going to give you $100. She makes it sound like she's doing such a big thing.
Alberta, sorry, this is a bit odd. Albertans are paying among the highest utilities costs in the country, as well as the highest cost for insurance. Those are things that the minister mentioned. Why not do something to address that instead of buying Albertans half a tank of gas? I mean, you said this is a meaningful amount. Do you really think a half a tank of gas is meaningful to Albertans?
Well, I think
this is why I love fast forwarding to the questions.
For a 13-cent a liter reprieve, and we did the calculation that the families would get more money by doing it this way, and they've already paid the money, so we're rebating it back to them. That's the principle behind this program. And I dispute your characterization, I think, of utility bills. When we came in,
your characterization of the truth?
It was 32 cents a kilowatt hour on electricity. We've got the floating rate down to 3 to 4 cents, and we've locked in the rate of last resort at 12 cents. So we've seen a massive reduction there. We also advocated, along with the federal conservative leader, to get rid of the retail carbon tax. That took 17 cents a liter off the price of gas, and it also made sure that home heating bills didn't have an extra $4 per gigajoule on it. That has
okay, no. Javi and I own a house, and our heating bills have quadrupled in the last 2 years. Now, we do have someone living full-time in the other half of our house, so that is part of it. But I'm sorry, it should not have gone up 3 to 4 times as much. She's lying. Yeah, she's lying. Of course she's lying.
Another massive decrease. We also had Calgary levying the local access fees on the spike prices, and we said you can't do that anymore because it just increased the amount of taxes that were being charged. They got windfall revenues of about $200 million per year. Well, we stopped that too. So, and then when it comes to insurance, we've already put a rate cap in the last couple of years to make sure that good drivers do not see rates that are increased beyond inflation. And then as we move into the new program,
I don't think that's true.
With the Care First model, we're anticipating to see another average reduction of $350 to $400, and that'll start in January. So yeah, we identify the issues and we work through them one by one to solve them.
So yeah.
Each issue requires a different approach. This particular issue was, do we save people 13 cents
Danielle Smith is famous for using as many words as possible to say absolutely fucking nothing.
a liter on a go forward, or $65, or do we give them $100 based on what they've already paid today? And we made a decision that people need the money now based on the fact that the prices have been so high in the past.
Thanks, Aaron. We'll go to our next at the mic.
David Winnick, Western Standard.
Here we go. Here's the right-wing question.
Premier, treaty chiefs are calling for an investigation into whether your actions over the independence referendum amount to treason under the criminal code. What's your response to that?
Well, I think it's disgraceful. I think
Ooh, here we go. This is her response to the treaty chiefs calling for an investigation. She's not happy about this.
it's disgraceful that any government that wants to be taken seriously would level charges that serious against another government. Look, I've had my differences with the federal government, but I have never
What?
used language like that. I would ask the treaty chiefs to check themselves because we have a
Ooh.
very collaborative relationship between our government and our ministers. I want that to continue. But this kind of
That is a bit of a fucking threat. She's basically saying, I disagree with the federal government, but I would never call for treason against them. Hi, Northyard. Yeah, check yourselves before you wreck yourselves. Yup.
overwrought language has no place in a democracy. When they
Correct. What you are doing has no place in a democracy.
were pursuing a new relationship with Ottawa, I cheered them along. We are pursuing a new relationship with Ottawa that respects our jurisdiction, and I would ask that they be respectful of that. But they need to, that language has no place in this democratic discussion.
Okay.
Yeah. That's her response. Check yourselves. I would never say words like that, so therefore neither should you.
Okay, and what steps are you taking to rebuild trust with the treaty chiefs?
Good
We
question.
meet with them
Unfortunately, a good question, because there is no trust. Yeah, exactly. Is she going to respect federal jurisdiction? She regularly does not.
regularly. And in fact, I meet with them one-on-one. My ministers meet with them one-on-one. We have protocol tables.
Just listen to the way that she starts answering this question. She is pissed.
Steps are you taking to rebuild trust with the treaty chiefs?
We meet with them regularly. And in fact, I meet with them one-on-one. My ministers meet with them one-on-one. We have protocol tables where I bring
Protocol
a number of my
tables.
ministers together. And you know what I've asked them? I say, well, how many times have you met with the prime minister when he's brought together 10 or 14 of his ministers to deal with your
Oh, fuck right off. Look at me. I'm meeting with you. When have you met with Mark Carney?
concerns? And you know what the answer is? Never. It doesn't happen.
Because they're dealing with you because you're the premier.
Ever. So that is the kind of relationship we want to continue to have with the chiefs, but it can only be done if they show as much respect for my government as we have shown for them.
Oh, wow. Excuse me, Danielle, would you like to lay out exactly the respect you've shown for the First Nations Treaty? Yeah, my government also. Yeah, kiss the ring. The Alberta government frequently steps on or over treaty rights. They frequently talk down to the First Nations people. I mean, oh my word. Yeah. Hi, Tyrion.
Thank you. Thanks.
Ooh,
Hi,
she's
from
mad.
Matt's case, the Globe and Mail. Wondering if you can offer the cost of this program. And off of that, 3 months ago, your government was talking about the need for tough decisions in the budget. Obviously, times have changed. Oil today is at $75, which is right around what the government needs to just balance the budget alone. We're only 3 months in the fiscal year. Is this program responsible fiscal management?
Ooh. Okay. Yeah, Canada owns Troy.
Well, the law is the law, and so we didn't really have an option not to do something, because that's what the legislation is. I suppose in future we can have a discussion about whether that law should be changed or stay the same. But our choice was, do we take the fuel tax off on a go forward, knowing, as you point out, the prices are going to be lower. This is part of the reason why we may have to rethink this program, is that just as the Strait of Hormuz is opening, the price of WTI has gone below the benchmark level that we would bring the amount back on.
Good morning.
So we're already going to see a reprieve at the pumps as a result of lower WTI, but we recognize that people.
Yeah, the Western Standard just wanted to get her to say shit against the treaty chiefs.
Have suffered through higher prices over the last 3 months. There is additional revenues that come in. My bias is always, let's give out money when we have it, not give.
But you don't have it, Danielle Smith. We are in a extremely large deficit.
Out money in the future that before we've earned it. And so the Minister of Finance took a look at these options, and we collectively decided that it would be better to do the rebate of these dollars, give more dollars to those who need it the most, and make sure that they're able to use it according to their needs. And then we can always have a conversation about whether this is the best way to do it. But I think the good news about the peace in the Strait of Hormuz is that it does mean that if this continues, we'll see moderated fuel prices on a go forward, and that will help everybody.
In Budget 2026, you did suspend contributions to the Heritage Fund because of the tight fiscal position. Why not take this money and dump it into the Heritage Fund?
Well, again, we always make decisions on putting money into the Heritage Fund at the end of the year when we have surpluses. And so we still are only 1/3 of the way into the year. We've got 9 more months left to go. And so our challenge is going to be running a balanced budget. This certainly helps, having a quarter like this, but if prices go back to their long-term average that we're expecting, which is $65 WTI, we have a structural deficit that we can't meet at that price. So we want to make sure that we make decisions to put money into the Heritage Savings Trust Fund based on realized surpluses rather than hope for surpluses. So we will make that decision at the end of the year.
Hi, Premier Mark Filani with CTV Calgary. I just wanted to know, what's the status of the $9.4 billion deficit? What do you think of those who might criticize that these funds should be put towards debt repayment? And is this just a bit of a political move?
Take care, friend.
To maybe prep for an
election? Rights are human rights.
Well, yes, they are.
Some are criticizing buying votes. Just your thoughts on that, too.
As the Premier said, this is the law. This is the law that has been set out by the Alberta legislature, that when a quarter has this average of oil price per barrel, to be very clear, not price at the pump, above $90, that we would rebate either the fuel tax at the pump in the following quarter, or you would rebate the way that we're choosing to do it, money that was already collected in the last quarter because of the changing situation, and the fact that this gets more money into Albertans' pockets. To be very clear, as the Premier's outlined, the choice wasn't whether or not this could be used elsewhere to deal with a $9 billion deficit, whether this could be used for other programs. The law of the legislature is that finance will bring forward a plan each quarter when price of oil goes above 90 cents that deals with either removing the tax or, in this case, providing a rebate to Albertans so that they can share in the royalty increases that are taking place in the province. As for the $9 billion deficit, it's too early to tell. We are dealing with a volatile situation, clearly that is outside the control of either the national or the provincial government, based on situations that are taking place on the other side of the world.
I know, he's very tall. Things are volatile, so instead of making sure that Alberta stays in a stable place by spending this towards the large deficit, we're just going to give people money to buy their votes.
And so we will continue to watch it closely and make the best fiscal decisions that we can. I can tell you the position of the Premier and I is that if we do end up in a spot where we have excess surpluses, we're not there yet. We still have to pay off the $9 billion debt.
You are not in a surplus.
Deficit. That money will be used for things like the Heritage Saving Trust Fund, or for helping Albertans with affordability, or things like debt payment as it has been in the past. But we've seen oil prices change from almost $100 to $70 in just a couple days, which is why you'll continue to see the government be cautious till we actually know what the circumstances are. And I'll have more to say about that on August 30th when I give you Q1's update.
Jason Marks. So, yeah, this is weird.
Can you move the mic?
Yeah.
Feel free to move
Let
the
me,
mic.
there we go.
There you go. I can see you.
Hello,
Hi.
Premier. Jason Marksoff, CBC News, adjusting microphones as we speak. Yesterday, you held a members-only virtual town hall for United Conservatives. You've spoken about holding town halls and touring the province to speak with Albertans ahead of the October referendums. It makes me recall, was it 2 years ago that you toured the province hosting a series of town halls speaking to United Conservative Party members only, not Albertans. On your coming tour of town halls for Albertans, will you be speaking to, or other touring you're going to be doing with specific sessions in different cities and towns across Alberta, will you be speaking to the general public, or will you only be holding meetings with United Conservative Party members?
Well, I do a mix of events. As you know, I do 2 town halls per session in my own constituency. And so I've got those booked. We're planning on doing those in September. And I'll do those as I always have. My MLAs will often do town halls.
Hi, Dani.
Ask me to participate in.
Good to see
And
you.
so as we do our summer tour, we'll be doing a number of public events that way. There's also a number of different business associations that host me. I'm often speaking to chambers of commerce and other organizations like that. And so as I travel, I will have lots of opportunity to talk to members, talk through town halls, as well as do those kind of public events.
Another question. David Wallace and James T. Fiore, two non-Albertans, have been cited for contempt against Athana Mantzalopoulos, a witness in a future trial, and Cindy Aniston, a witness in a future trial, to say nothing of what they've done to other people. I have not heard anything from yourself or from your Justice Minister expressing concern that there is alleged persecution and intimidation of witnesses, and I'm wondering what you have to say about what has been accused to have happened. And I would hope you wouldn't say, I'm not familiar with that, because you in the legislature last fall made a joke regarding Peter Guthrie, directly related to something said in David Wallace podcast, and your House Minister had to apologize in the House on your behalf.
Well, I don't know them. And as you know, I mean, I even read you, Jason, but you and I aren't friends. So I would say that I monitor the media. I watch and see what is being discussed. But in this particular case, it's in the court, and it'll be up to the court to decide the veracity of the claims.
Thanks, Jason. We have time for a few more. We'll try and get through our last 2 in the queue here and then go to the phones. Go ahead.
Hi, Premier Edward Jen from City News. I just had a bit of a clarification question here. So Minister Nixon pointed to legislation requiring the provincial government to provide some form of relief. I just wanted to know if this rebate program is now the approach of the provincial government going forward, or is the provincial government going to adjust the fuel tax after this rebate is given out to Albertans?
Let me turn that over to Jason Nixon, because we've talked about some of the complexities of continuing with the program as it was originally designed, and so let me see what his thoughts are on that.
I don't know.
And let them be Alberta to evaluate how it goes. There may not be
ad in the town of Taber that caused.
Oh my goodness!
Premier, on the topic of separation, there was
an
ad in the town of Taber that caused a bit of a stir that was promoting Alberta independence. And
so in the town of Taber, which I don't know if you guys know this, but there is a town in southern Alberta, 50 kilometers east of Lethbridge, that in 2015 passed a bylaw that banned public swearing, spitting, and yelling. They also have a curfew. Yeah, they're totally ridiculous. And yesterday, a couple days ago, oh, it's such a fun place. Somebody in the town of Taber put up a billboard that says, "Send Ottawa a message, choose Alberta," with the website of Corey Morgan on the bottom. The man behind the campaign says town officials who demanded he remove the first sign appear to be backing down. They do have good corn. "They've gone to ground," Corey Morgan said. "They're just kind of ducking down and hoping this passes over." Town officials doesn't respond. He paid to have a 3-meter tall electric sign put up in the community of 10,000. The town has said in a social media post that the billboard's message doesn't represent or speak for the community. He said 2 more signs with the same message are also now up in Taber. He said, well, Taber isn't taking action. He wants to send a message about those who would interfere with free speech, because of course he did. Morgan said he met Friday with lawyers from the Democracy Fund, who intend to draft a demand letter. The letter, he said, will say, you guys have to formalize that you're backing off on this thing, because it really seems like a charter violation. Morgan added, the reason I've been so stubborn is that I like to think this is going to serve as an example for other municipalities to just back off, stick to your municipal mandates, and avoid turning this into an issue. Because he cares about the charter. They asked him to take it down. And I believe he put 2 more. Yeah. So he said he won't let Taber push him around, and he has paid for 2 more signs since. I got nothing against Taber. That's fantastic people. It's a neat area. It's just their town administration I got a beef with. Yeah. So, Taber should stick to potholes, picking up garbage, and catching dogs. It's not their job to tell people what they're allowed to see or not allowed to see on a legal billboard. Chief Town Administrative Officer Dan Tybalt sent a letter to the billboard operator demanding the sign come down by the weekend. The town has received multiple concerns regarding political content being displayed on the sign. The continued display of the subject advertisement constitutes a nuisance and is inconsistent with the permitted use of the licensed area. So, I think it's .com. Yeah, this is the website that is on said billboard. Yeah. We can't keep waiting for an independence group to start campaigning, so I formed a third-party advertising organization. Oh, good, some AI. Oh, this whole thing is going to be AI, isn't it?
That, and I value it absolutely. Anything over gets registered. I'm going to post on my website every dollar that comes into this, like not the person necessarily, I'm just saying the dollars. The people in general I won't be posting. That goes up with Elections Alberta later for the larger donors of this, assuming there are. I sure hope so. We'll need a few. And but to show this is the money in, this is the product out. You know, $1,000 came in, 200 signs went out. And I'll need some help from people aside from money. Like I said, I want to get these things blossoming on lawns and not public space signs all over the place, cluttering up garbage on street corners and everything like we see in regular election campaigns. These signs I want on people's household lawns. And that's why I kept them simple with an Alberta flag and just choose Alberta too. It's not something that'll stir up your neighbor, replace them.
Anyway, that's this guy. That is what, oh boy. Oh boy. This is a book he wrote. So, you know, quality human being. But yeah, that's what they're asking her about here.
And then as well too, the Sundry rodeo parade was just canceled because of a bit of a kerfuffle regarding an entry from a pro-separatist group. So just what do you make of the division that's happening right now just over the referendum question?
Well, I hope that we don't see more division like that. I think that the whole purpose of a citizen-initiated process is for people to have a debate about issues that matter to them, but to keep it...
I'm sorry. She specifically said that we're going to have conversations and debate about this. She can't now back off when people are having discussions and quote unquote debates about this.
Respectful and ultimately let direct democracy decide. And so on October 19th, we're going to have to come together after the results. But I do think it's important when you've got 400,000 people who signed one petition and 300,000 who've signed another, for us to try to honor our legislation for citizen-initiated petitions and allow the debate to go to the people. I've heard a lot from the commentariat, and I've heard a lot from the leaders and organizers of various sides. I want to hear from Albertans now, and we'll be able to do that on October 19th. But I've tried to keep it respectful. I hope that the way I've approached the two sides in this is sort of an indication of how I would hope Albertans would approach those who might disagree with, because this is an important discussion to have.
Because following her example is the best way to do it, when she just told the First Nations people to check themselves.
And I think it's far more important for us all to make the case for why it is that Canada works, and maybe talk about other ways that we can send a message. That's why I've been advocating for the 9 other questions that we have on the ballot to get a strong...
100%. The question isn't citizen-initiated. None of the questions on them are citizen-initiated.
A strong mandate for those, so that I can start working on other ways that we can get greater and greater autonomy. But I hope that we can bring the temperature down on some of the discussion and keep the debate respectful.
We have time for 2 more questions. We'll take our last of the mic, then go to the phones.
Hello, I'm Felix from... lower it a bit because I'm small. I'm Felix from Radio Canada. My question is for Minister Nixon. Have you... what would be the effect of giving away 340 million, 330,000 million in rebate?
What? Well, a couple things I would say to that. First, we weren't creating too much inflation, but putting 300...
To know, will the water, not coal, questions be had to the October referendum?
We talked about this a couple days ago, but the the Corb Lund petition, the water not coal, gathered enough signatures. They brought it in time.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Thank you, friend. Congratulations to your little sister. I don't know if you can hear me, but thank you for popping in, and thank you for the sub, friend. They're not putting it on the referendum. Even though they did all the things right, they're pushing that question 2 years down the road.
Well, I'll tell you a bit about the process that we have for citizen-initiated petitions. Is that they go before a legislative committee. So the Forever Canada petition went before a committee of MLAs, so it's both parties, and then they took hearings, got legal advice, and then made a determination about how to proceed with that. And so this particular legislative proposal will follow the same pathway, that it will go forward to a legislative committee that has to be assembled when we get back into the legislature in the fall, and then they'll decide what direction to take with it. There's some implications on private property rights that we would have to consider, because we have legislation that requires compensation in the event that private property rights are taken away. There's an implication as well for the fact that there's already been a referendum locally on one of these projects. That will also have to be taken into consideration. Exactly. I would be looking forward to seeing what the committee would come up with as they assess. There's multiple elements to this particular proposal, and it could result in a legislative proposal where we bring forward legislation into the legislature, or it could result
she's going to push this back as far as she
can. Came in a little bit late in the that would be
$30 million. Would the province approve that number if it were
run a general election?
Thank you. We have time for one last question. We'll go to the phones. Operator, could you put through our first caller, please?
First question is from Lisa Johnson from the Canadian Press. Your line is now open.
Can y'all still hear me? My OBS is having a heart attack.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm wondering if Canadian citizenship is required to be eligible for these payments.
Oh, fuck right off.
Yes. Oh, but but permanent residents would get it.
But permanent residents?
Yeah, 100%. Sorry. Okay. But Canadian citizenship is...
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I worded that in.
Let me rephrase it, Lisa. I'll give you a little more than that. You got to be able to file taxes with Alberta or with the in period, and we will deal this with the CRA. And if you can file taxes legitimately in Canada and you are an Alberta resident, a legitimate Alberta resident, you will be entitled to the rebate as long as your household income is $225,000 or less.
Great, thank you. And I'm also wondering for the Premier, I mean, I understand that you're comparing this to the value of what the gas tax relief would have been, but a lot of Albertans will compare this to $400 worth of Ralph Bucks that they got 20 years ago, and then possibly do the math on inflation.
Possibly.
Do you think that Albertans are going to look with gratitude on such a fraction?
Possibly look at inflation.
Of what the previous windfall payment was. Do you think that they're going to look at this and say, yes, this is going to make a significant impact on my life?
Well, that's why we have to look at the fuel tax program altogether. I mean, I can tell you, maybe Minister Nixon might be able to tell you that when it was...
All right. We don't need to watch her repeat the same thing over and over and over again. Let's take a look at the...
Calls for a treason investigation into the province. As separation talk heats up ahead of the October referendum, a group of Alberta First Nations treaty chiefs want the RCMP to investigate Premier Danielle Smith and the United Conservative Party for treason.
If this was 50 years ago, 100 years ago, these actions were not tolerated, right?
Strong condemnation from the Grand Chief for Treaty 6 being met by strong pushback from the Premier.
I think it's disgraceful. I think it's disgraceful that any government that wants to be taken seriously would level charges that serious against another government.
Chiefs from Treaty 6, 7, and 8 First Nations, as well as the Blackfoot Confederacy, signing this letter calling on Mounties to investigate provincial leaders over treason, saying the provincial referendum on pursuing Alberta separation is a direct violation of charter and treaty rights. The letter adding Premier Smith and the province are at risk of foreign interference and influence.
But we've proven it in court collectively amongst Treaty 6, 7, and 8 that treaty is here and supersedes any provincial legislation. As I said, it's part of the Constitution.
But Alberta Premier Danielle Smith believes her government has a good relationship with First Nations, saying she and her cabinet ministers meet regularly with chiefs.
Look, I've had my differences with the federal government, but I have never used language like that. I would ask the treaty chiefs to check themselves, because we have a very collaborative relationship between our government and our ministers. I want that to continue. But this kind of overwrought language has no place in a democracy. When they were pursuing a new relationship with Ottawa, I cheered them along. We are pursuing a new relationship with Ottawa that respects our jurisdiction, and I would ask that they be respectful of that.
Unfortunately, we haven't been able to sit down with the province.
But Grand Chief Pete tells me those meetings haven't happened and says the separation talk is threatening the safety of Alberta First Nations people.
What does that sign say? Hold on.
Threatening the safety of Alberta First...
Shut up, Danielle. We are not for sale. I love it.
Nations people.
Racism that it has caused to First Nations as well. You know, all the hate speech, all that stuff coming at us because we're defending the Crown and the Constitution of Canada.
Alberta RCMP telling City News they are aware of the calls to investigate and are reviewing. Darcy Ropchan, City News, Edmonton.
Yeah.